Hello there. So this is how to find the perfect used car. I used Gamma to make all these images and make this whole PowerPoint. To save time, I didn't uh, edit the whole thing, so I'll just kind of narrate through this. I was a general manager at a small dealership. I wasn't there for very long, but I was in every part of the dealership that I could be. It wasn't part of the full goal here. If you watch any of the YouTube videos, you know what the whole goal is. But um, this is how to buy a car. To pass, you go private party or you go to dealership route. I've always bought from private parties off Facebook, but they've always been more affordable cars. So under $15,000, cool. If you're gonna do that, maybe you gotta meet them at a bank, do a cashier's check. Otherwise, I just brought cash. That's a little bit more risky though, just in case they want to rob you. So um, you can figure out a private party, talk to your people. I don't have a recommended way. I always brought cash and thought it was cool. So they're a little bit more negotiation. You don't get hit with the dock fees and stuff, but you're taking a higher risk because there's no reputation or you can't leave reviews or anything. So higher risk, but you might be able to save more. Dealership route, you have peace of mind. You can get professional service. They give you recommendations if you need help. You can get warranties if you'd like to, and you get more peace of mind, but at a premium price. So then with this dealership route, you gotta look at large dealerships and small dealerships. Large dealerships will give you the most peace of mind. You know, if you go to Luther, for example, or Maury's, you'll be good to go. You got pre-certified vehicles, you got a longer warranty protection, and they're focused on their reputation. So they're really not trying to screw their customers. Unlike smaller dealerships, some of them are, and some of them are very, very predatory. So look out for that. What I mean by, or actually, I'll talk about it here. Okay, small dealerships could be good, they could be bad. It's kind of a wild card. They're good, at least in Minnesota. I don't know everywhere else. You get a 15-day, 500-mile engine. It should be and transmission warranty. This is very dependent on the actual dealership itself. So the one that I worked at, we had a 15-day, 500-mile warranty. If there were issues that came up early, he would take care of them. He would focus on repeat customers rather than trying to acquire brand new ones. And word of mouth marketing really helped us out. So fortunately, I worked for a good dealership. The bad is that some of them, I won't name names here in Minneapolis, but some of them target immigrants with bad credit or no credit or lack of documents, and they'll still sell them a car. There was one here that was using the dealership insurance to sell the cars. He eventually got caught. I don't know how he's still in business, but he somehow stayed in business after that. Some of them will do some weird stuff, and the reason why they target immigrants and people with bad credit is because they can in-house finance them, and then once they miss a payment, then they can go take the car from them, and they'll sell them a higher vehicle than what they need to. They'll give them a 23.25% interest rate. Overall, just not very good. I always recommend buying a car in cash if you can. If you can't, try to buy a car in cash. But if you can't, sorry, I said that twice because I always think buying a car in cash is the best way to do it. I think Dave Ramsey says the car value should not be more than 25% of your yearly income. So I think if you take home $60,000, you should only get a $15,000 car. I agree with that. I think cheaper cars are the best, but if you look at any other videos, I think cheaper is always better. Just because you're trying to build a base of your pyramid, and the compound interest is going to help you out so much. So I always think cheaper the better. When you're getting like Toyota, Honda, Mazda, which is what I have, I think is going to be your best bang for the buck. My car's at 112,000 miles. Haven't had any issues besides 2 of the front wheel bearings went bad, but those are easy fix, and besides that, it's been fantastic. Honda, Toyota, you're going to be paying a premium for. Luckily, they made a whole bunch of them, so parts are cheaper, and usually they last a very long time. And they hold their value later for resale. Now, if you're getting a Chevy Equinox, if you're getting a Jeep Cherokee, if you're getting a Nissan Sentra, there's a whole nother thing that goes with it. Let's see if I talk about that. All right, we won't do that yet. Chevy Equinoxes, they burn oil. Same thing with Chevy Malibus. You could have some issues with that. That's one tidbit: Jeeps in general, from what at least I've seen, I never work on them, but from what I've seen, they make the repairment process very, very complicated. So you might only spend, for example, we had $100 part that took probably 10 hours to change, because then you take the whole dash, center console, everything out in order to change it. Wasn't very good engineering. I don't know if they did that on purpose to try to make more money from labor, or if that you got to bring it to the dealership. I don't know. I wouldn't get a Jeep though. Maybe if it's an older one, but I wouldn't get a Jeep. I really probably wouldn't get a Chevy either, unless they have lower miles. I would never get a Nissan Sentra. I mean, that could be a good fit for you if you're really low on cash and you get one, around 30, 40,000 miles. But we've had two of them. Both of them had rebuilt transmissions, and they're around 80 to 100,000 miles. So wouldn't really mess around with that. Not saying that the Nissan Altimas aren't good, because from what all the memes say, they're tanks. But I would just kind of stay away from those vehicles. Kias are okay. They're not going to hold the value very long, but they seem to be pretty good in my opinion. I would always recommend going with like a Mazda 3. Very reliable, very good. I haven't had any issues with them. I've had two of them. Never had any issues. So those are cool. All right, back to this stuff. Um, Bad parts of smaller dealerships, if they're the bad ones. Target people, higher interest. Like I said, they try to sell you like a higher car, give you a huge interest rate, hope you miss a payment, then you repossess your car. And overpriced extended warranties, which here we are. Behind the scenes, I've seen some parts get marked up 5 to 10 times. Now, this isn't the dealership itself, because the dealership gets a wholesale thing. But if you're going to do your own, or even if you're going to flip cars, I've seen some things be $5 or $10, and then they get marked up to $50, $60. Now, that's the difference between wholesale and the, like, O'Reilly, for example. They're just a markup. Business got to make money. But they can usually get parts a lot cheaper. So if they need something to be done, maybe they can do it cheaper. If it's a smaller dealership, they might work with you more, rather than a big dealership might not. That was kind of a ramble there. But just know there's a big price markup between wholesale and consumer. Makes sense. They're a business, so they're going to do that. Usually I don't think it's this exaggerated. It's definitely usually not 10 times exaggerated, but 5 isn't really that bad. 2 to 5 I think is probably the best. Warranty markup. These bad boys, I'm very split on, because I know some warranties, right, they could be $180, they could be $250 for the dealer, but then they're supposed to get marked up, $600 to $800. Now, they have other ones that are 8 to 10 year warranties, which I just found out the other day because one of my friends was buying a car. I'm split on warranties, because the warranty is only as good as the company is, and sometimes they'll cover claims, sometimes they won't. Just know there's a markup on there. So if you are paying cash, you can negotiate a little bit more. If the brakes need to be done, or if they want to throw in a warranty if you buy the vehicle in cash from smaller dealerships. Larger dealerships, I guess they actually don't like you paying in cash, because they're going to lose more money, because they actually want to in-house finance you. I know it's probably terribly complicated for some people. It's complicated. It kind of feels like lawyers, and they overcomplicate it, so you don't know exactly what you're going to be doing. Look at the total price of it. The reason I like paying in cash too is because you actually know it's all said and done. Otherwise, if you're financing, they're going to sell you on the monthly payment, which is not good, because you're only looking at the monthly payment. You're not looking at the interest. You're not looking at the interest rate, and they're going to pass you around to 2 or 3 people. You're going to talk to the sales rep guy. Then you're going to talk to the finance guy. Then you're going to talk to the manager, if you're trying to get a deal. Just pay cash, please. See, many dealerships use search department at loss leaders to build. All right, we don't got to really worry about that. If you're going to negotiate, though, try to get either a free warranty or try to get some of the charges off. I don't know if they do it in Minnesota. I don't think they do necessarily, but if you're buying a used vehicle and they have like an inspection and detailing fee, there's usually an asterisk by it, because it's not like a government fee that needs to be on there. So if you're paying cash, try to get that off. Good to go. Private party, maximum savings, maximum risk. Any vehicle that you're going to get, you want to look at the Carfax report. Make sure that you're getting a clean title. If you get a salvage title, it's going to probably be, well, some insurance companies won't do it at all, so it could be harder to insure, or they're not going to give you the whole value of the vehicle. It's going to be harder to resell. There's a lot of weird things that happen with salvage. I don't mess around with salvage at all. The dealership that I was at didn't mess around with salvage. Just could be a whole bunch of weird stuff. So now if you're going for a private party, evaluate the seller. I always like looking at the age. The older the better. They usually don't drive as fast and stuff. Or if they have a family. The vehicle that I got was from a gentleman who was going back to school to be a mechanical engineer. He had 2 kids, and this is kind of like his fun car that, he liked to work on. He put on some struts, hydro dip some stuff, nothing crazy, but very stable, very just calm people. Usually from a young kid, you don't really want to mess around with. Also, if you're on Facebook, look out, because there's a whole bunch of salvage on there, and they won't disclaim it right away, if they disclaim it at all. And let's see, vehicle condition. Look at everything, no matter where you are. Look around the outside, look around the inside, see if there's any holes, wear, and if there's paint that is mismatched, particularly in the bumper versus the body, or a door in the body. That'll indicate an accident or some kind of body work was done. Make sure you have a spare tire, that you have a jack, which people don't usually look for. And then look in the engine compartment. See if there's any visual damage. All of this stuff, any discrepancies that you have, could be room for negotiation, or it could save you from getting a vehicle that's gonna, shit the bed on you. So it's kind of a lot to actually inspect a vehicle all the way. Maybe I have to make another video on that, but just look all around and make sure you go for a test drive. Don't buy a car without test driving it. You got to feel the brakes. If there's vibration, it's probably because the brakes are bad, or if there's loud noise when you're going. It could be a wheel bearing, could be a tire. All of it seems very complicated. But the more you're exposed to it, the more vehicles you get, you'll get better at it. What's really good if you get from a private party is if you have somebody in your local community who's selling a vehicle, especially if you don't have much cash or you're young, or both. Getting it from a family friend is great. They usually give you a decent price. Biggest thing is this, that you're getting a cheap vehicle that you know the history on, and whatever. You keep the money with your friends and family, community. I don't know if I'd really buy vehicles from family, but family friends are pretty good, I think. Just beware. Hopefully it doesn't hurt any friendship there. If something does go wrong, make sure you trust them. And if something goes wrong, don't blame them. Don't go yell at them. Just take it how it is. Carfax Essentials, you usually look for 1 to 2 owners, under 100,000. Consistent maintenance records. Now, if you go to a small dealership, or if they're changing the oil themselves, it's not going to show on there, but it's nice when you see consistent at large dealerships, because all of it's been tracked, and you know that it was done right. No accident history if possible. If it's a small accident, that's okay, but sometimes not all accidents on Carfax are reported, so just know that. Physical inspection. Let's see. Yep, you want to look at the tire depth and tread, bust out that penny. You don't want to go past Abraham Lincoln's nose. Make sure there's even wear on all the tires. Make sure they're all the same kind of tire. When they come back from the auction, I don't know why, but sometimes there's 3 or 4 different types of tires on there. Man, my voice keeps cracking. They could be Michelin, Goodyear, some other brand you don't know. Just, yeah, make sure they're all good. Make sure that there's air in all of them. There's no lights that come on. Battery date's a good one, because those are usually a couple $100. When you start it, it'll be pretty obvious the battery's down. But, some of the batteries have 2-3 year warranties, so if it's within there, pretty good. I don't know if you can use the warranty after that, because you didn't really buy it, but you want a battery to be within 3 years, at least in my opinion. Keep the vehicle off, check the oil level, make sure the color looks okay. If they have a sticker, Let's see roughly how many miles are left. Brake rotor condition. Now, if you go to a dealership and the vehicle's outside, there's going to be some rust on there if they've been sitting for a while. It could make a weird noise when you go for a test drive. It shouldn't take very long to bust that rust off though, real quick. 10-15 minute test drive probably will bust it off. Otherwise, just keep looking for rust and anything that doesn't look real clean. If it vibrates, that's bad. If there's like a loud squeaking noise, that's very bad because that means the brakes are way down. Red flags. Multiple vehicle sales by seller. Let's see what I meant by there. Multiple vehicle sales by seller. By seller. Oh, this is for when you're going on Facebook. If they have a whole bunch of vehicles under there, that means they're flipping them. That's for private party. That's kind of a red flag to me. I just want somebody who's old, was gentle on a vehicle, and has some cash. So, I don't know. I don't really like when they sell a whole bunch trying to flip them and stuff because I don't know what it's all been in. Exterior damage or rust is pretty easy. Engine bay abnormalities. So I don't know if something's broke, or I guess the biggest part is if the frame seems a little bit bent by some parts that just look kind of weird, little bent, or bolt holes don't match up. That's no bueno. Of course, sounds. Look up like what a bad lifter sounds like, for example. You can look at a whole bunch of stuff. Even like if a belt's real squeaky, you can put deodorant on it and make it quiet. Which is another reason why I don't like multiple vehicle sales. I don't know if they're selling salvage or what on Facebook, but you do these for big, small, or private party dealerships. Suspicious pricing. If it seems like too good of a deal, it's probably true. So you can always like poke and prod, ask if it's available, but sometimes that's bad. Other vehicles or other dealerships. One of my friends, they went to a dealership and the book price was under by like $1,200, and I'm like, wow, very interesting. That was on Carfax, and they were sending me pictures and stuff. I'm like, it looks good and everything, but then they're financing. They didn't have enough to put down. They were an immigrant, or they are an immigrant, and they were trying to hit them with like a 18-19% interest rate, and they were just trying to sell them on the monthly payment. So in this case, they were trying to entice people to come and buy the vehicle and then make all their money on additional stuff. So they're going to try to sell them a warranty. They were going to try to get them a loan with 18-19% interest rate. I don't know. I always look at the intention that they have. Obviously, a dealership needs to make money, but use your own judgment, I guess. When you're going for a test drive, kind of talked about it already. So grinding, squeaking, no good. Knocking, ticking sounds, not good. Unusual engine sounds. Hopefully you know a little bit about cars. So, if any Christmas tree lights come on, no bueno. If the steering wheel pulls while you're on the highway, could need an alignment. That's where you're going. You want to go to highway speed for sure. Try to get it up to 70. See how it acts at that. See how it acts at 30. If it's shaking on the highway, that's not good. Could be multiple things. Brake vibration, need brakes. Steering pull, needs an alignment, or uneven wore tires. Negotiation strategy. Cash is king unless you're talking about a big dealership. They don't really like it. Bring cash only. Money talks at dealerships and private party. Small dealerships, I should add. Financing always does, though, no matter where you go, costs more than advertising prices. So if you're looking at the monthly payment, you're going to be paying more in the end. If you don't have the cash, try to pay that thing off as fast as you can, because car loans, you have a vehicle that's going down in value as years go by and miles are going down or up. So your vehicle value is going down, and you can eventually get flipped over, and you could be underwater. So your vehicle could be worth $6,000-7,000, but you really owe $10,000 on it. Not good. That's very bad. So don't let that happen. Use inspection findings. So if it needs anything, like it's getting low on tires, batteries old, alignment maybe, you get a price reduction for it. You can also, at some dealerships, bring them to get inspected. That's usually for smaller dealerships, maybe private party if you talk to them real sweet. Those inspections are always good, and trust me, the mechanics are always going to find something that's wrong. So I wouldn't really try to screw somebody and say, "Ah, this mechanic said this," but um, I think it'd be good to have a conversation. The mechanic's always gonna find something because one, something's wrong, or two, they're trying to make cash. So you know, I don't know. Car business is a good business, but it's also a filthy business. Set firm limits. So whenever I go in cash or go buy a car in cash, um, I only bring what I'll spend. So the vehicles, I think this one was 14.5, and I think I brought $14,000 in cash. So if we can't agree on a price, then I just leave. But otherwise, I literally only have 14 cash. So that's all I will do it. Don't get guilt tripped into like, oh, I did this and that. Stick to your budget. All right. Obviously, don't show up with $10,000 cash for a $25,000 vehicle. That's not very nice. But if you're $500 off or $1,000 off, you're looking at this vehicle, just bring that. Stick to your budget. Don't fall in love with it. There's a whole bunch of nice vehicles, but you don't want to get yourself in a huge financial pinch. All right, this is the last one here. Here we go. There's what I just talked about right there. I wouldn't lowball because that's very disrespectful, at least in my opinion. Maybe it's just Minnesota nice being there. Longer the vehicle sits on a dealership, the more leverage that you have. You can find that on Car Gurus. I don't really know if they show it on their website, but they also show it on Cars for Sale. Facebook Marketplace also will tell you it as well. Obviously, they can delete it and repost it to get by that, but you can kind of look at the history of the vehicle. So I pay in cash. Otherwise, you do a cashier's check. Usually, they'll probably be okay with that, but if you are selling your car, they can cancel a cashier's check. So I would meet them at the bank and finish it all there just to make sure you don't get screwed. If you're at a small dealership or a larger dealership, don't put a down payment down on a credit card. Um, let's see. Some places take regular checks, some places don't, unless they trust you. But for a credit card, there's usually a fee. I don't know who's going to eat it, if it's going to be you or it's going to be the dealership, but it could be somewhere between like a 1.5 to a 3% fee. It'll probably be 3% fee if you're going to a small dealership. So try to get a cashier's check or pay cash. Sometimes you get freaked out by cash out too. Cashier's check is probably the best one. Safety first. Meet in a public place. So if you're at a dealership, you're all good to go. If you're meeting privately, I've been to people's houses before. That's not really as public. You can meet at the bank just in case everything goes good. Otherwise, I'm at a Target before too. Electronic payments have limits. So what you also could do is you could pay Venmo, Cash App, mixture of them, cool. Or you could wire it on Zelle, but just make sure that your payments are set higher because a lot of them have limits of like $3,000 or $4,000 per day, or maybe $10,000 per day. Sometimes you can change those like a 3 or 4 grand, but some of them for 10 grand you can't really change. So just be aware of that. And then also, if you're pulling out more than $10,000 in cash, you're kind of gonna get flagged. They're gonna ask you questions about like what is going to be used for. Are you getting blackmail, stuff like that. So that'll wrap it all up. I hope it's clear as day. If you leave a comment, I'll try to respond to it. I don't look at it very much right now because I don't. Not many people see the videos and stuff. But if you leave a comment, I'll try to uh, respond to it to the best of my ability. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.